Good morning and welcome back to my channel. In today's lesson we'll discuss the 5th unit of Advanced Grammar in Use, and we have past simple and past perfect on the agenda. Let's jump right in. Now let's repeat the reminder block A6, A8 and A14, A15 to make sure that we do remember what exactly past simple and past perfect are. Firstly, past simple. We use this tense to refer to a completed action or event in the past, or to talk about situations that existed over a period of time in the past, but not now. We can either say when something happened using a time adverbial, for example, a few minutes ago. A6, she left a few minutes ago. When did she leave? She left a few minutes ago. We know exactly when it was. Or assume that the listener or reader already knows when it happened and can understand this from the context. For example, Michael continued the course even though it was proving very difficult. When did he continue this course? He continued it when it turned out to be proving very difficult. So, past simple one more time. Repeated actions in the past. Actions in the past when we do know exactly when they were, and repeated past actions. Past actions, repeated past actions. I saw my grandparents every week as a child. It was every week. I think it's quite clear. Next, past perfect. Firstly, let me remind you how we use past perfect. This tense, a group of perfect tenses, is used when we have a point of time which is now, or in the past, or in the future, and the action which has been done by this particular point of time. For example, if this point of time is now, then I use present perfect, like I have cleaned my flat. The result now is important here. If this point of time is in the past, then I use past perfect, and I had cleaned my flat by 10 p.m. yesterday. It was yesterday, this point of time is in the past, it was 10 p.m. and I had cleaned my house. Or future perfect, tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. I will have cooked dinner. I think it's quite clear. In this rule, we use the past perfect to talk about a past event that took place before another past event. When I went into the bathroom, I found that the bath had overflowed. What happened firstly? Firstly, the bath had overflowed. Then I went into the bathroom and then I found the fact that the bath had overflowed. So, the first action had been done before the other action. Next, or before, or up to a particular time in the past, by 10 o'clock most people had gone home. I've already told about that. For the past perfect in conditionals, okay, I think we can skip it now. Then, in our paragraphs, in our unit, when we give an account of a sequence of past events, we usually put these events in chronological order using the past simple. Chronological order, past simple. My common example here is tomorrow morning. Firstly, I woke up, I got up, I brushed my teeth, I got ready, I left home, I go to university, and so on and so on and so on. Past simple. For the sequence of events. If we want to refer to an event out of order, that is, an event which happens before the last event in the sequence we have written or spoken about, we can use the past perfect. One more time. If we have one action which had been done before the other action, we have to use past perfect. Study the use of the past perfect and past simple in the text below, then read the notes in the table about the order of events. I wrote Carla an email to thank her for the present, yeah. Present is a verb, present is a noun. She had given me for my birthday last week. Firstly, she had given, and then I wrote this email. But as soon as I pressed the send button, I realized that I had made a mistake and sent it to her sister instead. Firstly, I had made a mistake, and secondly, I realized it. Order of events. Firstly, I gave present and then wrote email, made mistake, realized mistake. Or how it was in this message, wrote email and had given present, realized mistake, and firstly had made this mistake. When we understand that we are talking about events before another past event, we don't have to continue using the past perfect. We bought a new car last month. We had driven my parents' old car for ages, but it started or had started to fall apart. One more time, in this sentence we can use and past simple and past perfect because this action was before the other action, and in this case we have to use past perfect. Or it is quite clear that it was in the past, and here it is not important that this action was before the other action. And in this case we can use past simple. We put or had put a new engine in it, but that didn't solve or hadn't solved the problem we were having. One more time. We had put and this hadn't solved the problems we were having in the past. It was before the other action in the past, so we can use past perfect, but also it is not important. So we put or we, and this didn't solve. Great. An exercise, and let me remind you that firstly I show you the exercise, give you some time to do it by yourself without my comments, and only after that I start coping with these examples exercises. Okay, let's jump right in. The events mentioned in the magazine article are listed below. Write the order in which the events are mentioned and then the order in which they occurred or were thought to occur. Compare the two lists and consider why the past perfect in italics was used. How I bought my dream house. When I first saw the old house, or the events are mentioned in the text, it was the first one. I had just moved to the area. I moved, the second. It had been empty for about a year and was beginning to need some repairs, but the house was exactly what I wanted. It was empty. It had been empty for about empty. Then I put together enough money. It is here, but by the time I had put together enough money, I learned that a property developer had bought it and planned to turn it into a hotel. Then a property developer bought it. 6 months later, I nearly gave up hope of finding anywhere to live in the village when I heard that the house was for sale again. I heard the property developer had decided to invest his money in a new housing development. The property developer decided housing development on the edge of the village. I bought the house immediately and I've lived there happily ever since. Now let's try to understand the order of the events, how they were. Firstly, the house was empty. Secondly, she moved. Thirdly, she first saw the old house. The old house. When I first saw the old house, I had just moved to the area. It had been empty for about a year. It had been empty for about a year. After that, she had moved to the area, and after that, she saw this house. Then, a property developer bought it. Then, she put together enough money, and then she learned something about this house. One more time. But by the time I had put together enough money, I learned that a property developer had bought it and planned to turn it into a hotel. Firstly, he bought it. Secondly, she put together enough money. And only after that she learned that he had already bought it and planned to turn it into a hotel. Then she nearly gave up. After that, the property developer decided to invest his money in something else, and after that she heard about it. She nearly gave up. 6 months later, I had nearly given up hope of finding anywhere to live in the village when I heard that the house was for sale again. The property developer had decided to invest his money in a new housing development on the edge of the village. One more time. Firstly, she nearly gave up. After that, the property developer had decided to invest his money. And after that, she heard that the house was for sale again. It wasn't easy, but if you can understand it, I think you can understand anything in this world. Great. If the order of past events is clear from the context, for example, if time expressions make the order clear, we can often use either the past perfect or the past simple. After Ivan had finished reading, he put out the light. Or he had finished or finished. Here we can understand the order of the events very clearly, and it is obviously that firstly he finished reading and after that he put out the light. And we can use both past simple and past perfect. The two leaders agreed to meet even though earlier talks had failed to reach an agreement. It is very clear that earlier talks were before this meeting. So we can use and past simple and past perfect. They are equal here. The past perfect is often used in reporting what was originally said or thought in the present perfect or past simple. When we report what was said in the past simple, we can use either the past perfect or the past simple. This is about direct speech and the reported speech. I think you can know this rule. I have met him before. Present perfect for past perfect. I was sure that I had met him before. The village hasn't changed much, and I found in the past that the village in the past before the past hadn't changed much. 225 people drowned in the recent floods. Police said in the past that 225 people had drowned in the recent floods. Then I stole the watch. She admitted that she had stolen the watch. By the way, in these two cases, we can use both and past simple and past perfect because when we report that what was said in the past, we can either use past perfect or past simple. Okay, this is about something which was said in the past, and here we can use both tenses. Why not? But for me, really, past perfect is very tasty here. Okay. Underline the correct options. In some cases, only one is correct, and in others, both are correct. As Jonas was introduced to Mrs. Lopez, he realized that he had met her before. It was before this meeting, so we use past perfect here. During the previous week, I had visited the gym every evening. Firstly, it was every evening, so we can use past simple here. Or it was before the moment in the past, so we can use past perfect. He denied that he had taken or took the money from the office. He denied that he had taken this money before that dialogue. Or he denied that he just took them. We don't know exactly when it was. We don't know. We don't want to put attention to the action and to the fact that it was previously. It was earlier, and here we can use both of them. By the way, it is very clear and obvious that firstly he took the money or he didn't take the money, and only after that he was asked about it. I thought it was the best film I had seen in my life. It was the best film I had seen. It is the tastiest food I have ever tried. In these sentences, it is very usual to use past perfect. The boy told me that he had lost his train ticket and didn't know how he would get home. He told me, now let's try to imagine this dialogue right now. If we are in the bus, not in the bus, in the train, and we are talking about my lost ticket, I can say that I lost my ticket in the past. And if this is a reported speech, the boy told me that. So our past simple turned into past perfect. So he had lost. At the conference, scientists reported that they had found a cure for malaria. By the way, in my Telegram channel, I have a post about this word and treatment and healing. Check it out. Scientists reported that they had found a cure for malaria. They had found it before the conference, and the conference was in the past perfect. The teacher guessed that some of the children cheated or had cheated in the exam. He guessed it in the past. If the exam was in the past, we can use both of them. But actually, it is quite obvious that firstly they had cheated, or they hadn't cheated, or they didn't cheat in the exam, and only after that the teacher guessed it. She said that she had made up her mind who to vote for, and that I couldn't persuade her to change. He said that he had made up. One more time, she said reported speech. So in the direct speech it is I made up my mind. In the reported speech, our past simple turns into past perfect. So she said that she had made up. Next, Thomas explains that he had gone or went home early because she felt ill. He explained that he had gone early, one action before the other action, so we can use past perfect here, or just past simple because it was in the past and it is obvious when exactly it was. When I asked Maria about Jacob, she admitted that she hadn't heard from him for ages. She hadn't heard for ages before the moment of this conversation when she admitted it, and also reported speech. The waiter took my plate away before I had finished eating. I had finished or I hadn't finished eating. before the moment in the past when the waiter took my plate. Past perfect. Or if it is very obvious, very clean, we can use just past simple. I didn't finish eating and he took away my plate. Julia said she didn't want any dinner. Apparently, she had eaten already. She had already eaten. Had eaten, note, in North American English, at would also be possible. Okay. Apparently, she had already eaten. She had eaten already before this moment in the past when she was asked about it. Next, we can use either the past perfect or past simple, and often past continuous and past perfect continuous when we talk about things that we intended to do but didn't or won't now do in the future. I had hoped to visit the gallery before I left Florence, but it's closed on Mondays. Or I hoped, or I was hoping, or I had been hoping. When we talk about things that we intended to do but didn't or won't now do in the future. Okay. But now I can. So I hoped, I was hoping, I had hoped, I had been hoping to visit this gallery, but now I can't do this. Aaron planned to retire at 60, 16, 50, 15, 40, 14, and what? Retire at 60, but we have persuaded him to stay for a few more years. Or he had planned, he was planning, he had planning, and after that he changed his mind. So we can use any tense here. Past simple or past continuous or past, not past simple, past simple, past continuous, past perfect continuous, whatever you want. And our last exercise for today, expand these sets of notes using the past perfect to begin each sentence. Okay. I had hoped to leave by 9, but I overslept and missed the train. Okay, I had hoped by 9, but The second, Lara hadn't intended to become a dentist. She always wanted to be a vet. He hadn't intended it before any moment in the past. It is completed. It was completed in the past, and she always wanted to be a vet. So this isn't about her. I had expected the operation to be painful, but I didn't feel a thing. I had expected this before the operation, before the moment in the past. I hadn't thought of cooking rabbit until Andre told me how tasty it was. I hadn't thought of it before this moment in the past when he told me how tasty it was. Then he hadn't meant to insult her, or he hadn't meant it to be an insult to her, but Darina was very offended. He hadn't meant it before this moment when she was offended. By the way, let me remind you that we have additional exercises, and if you want to do them, you can find this book in my Telegram channel. Thank you for being with me today. I hope this lesson was really helpful for you, and if it was, please let me know about it in the comments. Also, let me invite you to my online individual English lessons, where you can feel very comfortable to speak English, to improve your grammar, to improve your vocabulary, and just to enjoy English in a very cozy, comfortable, and pleasant atmosphere. Now I can let you go. Goodbye. See you next time.